Hello and welcome, it's Chris from Christopher Hall Training, and welcome to this week's tutorial where we're going to be talking about core strength and stability and how to improve our fitness and performance of our core. Now we're going to be talking about one specific thing. Now this is what I would describe as probably the most fundamental part of core strength and core stability training, and it's breathing and bracing. Now, you've heard me talk about bracing before. So you've heard me talk about engaging multiple muscles because it creates super stiffness, which creates a whole that is greater than the sum of its parts. So if we're just talking about doing individual muscle exercises like oblique twists or sit-ups or crunches or whatever it might be, we're not creating great core strength and stability. If we are doing things like planks, side planks, if we are lifting heavy weights like a deadlift or a heavy dumbbell press, or if we're doing big chops and big rotational movements, what we need to be able to do is also breathe alongside that. Because if we take the most fundamental and basic exercise when it comes to core strength and stability, let's just use a plank for example. When most people go into a plank, what might they start doing? They'll hold their breath. So what that will do is that will diminish their performance over time. So what we've got to be able to do is breathe. Now, Pavel Tsatsouline, who is very heavy into kettlebells, he calls it breathing behind a shield. So what we're doing is we're tensing the abdominals, we are bracing the core, but we are breathing behind that. And it's that that's going to get our muscles working more effectively, that's going to get our movement into a nice smooth rhythm, and it's that that's going to improve the core strength and stability over time. So if we come down and we use the plank as the example, we know the posture to be in. So we come down onto the elbows, we get the position of the back, we lift a knee and we lift another knee. Now we tense up the abdominals. We make our abdominals nice and tight. What we've then got to be able to do is breathe behind that. So we aren't holding the breath, and we aren't necessarily breathing from the chest as well. So if we just take the plank as the ability to brace, what we can then do, if we just kneel and sit on our heels, what we can now focus on is breathing with the abdominals. So we're not tensing, all we are doing is just breathing from the abdominals. So as we breathe in, the stomach goes out. So we've got the bracing, which is the tensing here. Now we've got the breathing, so we understand we're using the diaphragm to breathe. Now we've got to put the two together, because when most people go into a plank, as I mentioned, they hold their breath. Or they'll be breathing from the chest, which is a very stressful way of breathing, which is a fight or flight way of breathing, which tenses muscles, which tenses joints, which stiffens the body up. If we want to have good core strength, stability, and greater fitness and performance of the core, we've got to be able to move smoothly, move with good rhythm, and that means breathing from the diaphragm and the abdominals. So we come down into a plank, we extend one leg, we extend the other. We keep tense, but we practice breathing from the abdominals and from the diaphragm. Once we've got it in a nice simple posture like the plank, we can then start transferring it into big cable movements where we're pulling a weight down. So we can come here. So we've got strong breathing, which then gives us strong torso, strong shoulders and strong hips. We can then come into this position, back down. So we're using our body and we're using our breathing much more effectively. What this then has a benefit on is, as I've mentioned, if we breathe from the abdominals or the diaphragm, your muscles aren't going to relax because you're doing exercise, but they're going to be a lot more efficient, they're going to be a lot more smooth, they aren't going to be as tensed, they aren't going to be as stiff, so they are going to have a greater flexibility for what they need it for. So if you can go away from this tutorial and just literally go into a plank and just learn to relax your breathing, learn to start using your diaphragm and your abdominals to breathe from, that's then going to set you up to go onto bigger, more complicated movements. So when learning a new skill, I always say start simple and then move basic. Even if you're the most advanced fitness person that you know, go back to basics, get them right, and then go out into more complex movements. So to summarize this video, what we're looking for when we are trying to improve core strength, core stability, and have greater fitness performance of the core is we want to breathe and brace. Because when we only brace, we tend to hold our breath, which stiffens everything up and reduces and affects performance. If we can learn to brace and learn to breathe, starting with a simple movement or a simple posture like the plank, we can then start extrapolating that out into big chopping movements or big lifting movements with a barbell, whatever it might be. So for this week or for this month, use the plank and breathing and combine the two to improve your core strength, fitness and performance. Thank you for watching. My name is Chris. I hope you found this helpful. I will see you in next week's tutorial.